My name is Rolfe Monteith. I'd like to speak to you today about a few matters that are seldom discussed. I'm 92 years old and I have prepared a script 4 minutes approximately long, and I seek your indulgence to permit me to read it. The first item is spam. Not email spam, the real spam. The kind that used to come packed in tins. It doesn't speak to today's world of all singing, all dancing, organic produce. I guess powdered orange juice and dried egg don't do much for you either. I understand that. It was foul back in the 1940s, and I'm sure it still is. Right, how about the Battle of the Atlantic? That unsung battle that began on the first day of the Second World War and ended on the last. The battle that claimed 3,500 merchant ships, 175 warships, 783 submarines, and tens of thousands of young lives. Indulge me, I'm an old man, a retired Royal Canadian Navy captain who emigrated to Britain 46 years ago. In that time, it has always struck me as strange that as an island nation, we seem to know so little about the sea around us, how it has protected us, how many people have died to protect it. At the outbreak of World War II, Germany's Admiral Dönitz understood very quickly that his success hinged almost entirely upon cutting off the millions of tons of supplies, munitions, and troops that Britain was going to need each year to survive. And he set about doing so in a brutal U-boat campaign. So fearsome it was, so potentially devastating, that Churchill himself acknowledged it is the only aspect of the war which truly gave him nightmares. Dönitz's idea was simple: prevent the Allies from mounting a fight back in Europe and starve the British people until they sued for peace. And evidenced by my talking to you on this YouTube today, things did not go according to plan. Indeed, wartime archives have since revealed that the 1940 invasion of Britain was foiled primarily by the very existence of the Home Fleet. And to quote Rear Admiral Leonard Murray, Commander-in-Chief, Canadian North Atlantic, the Battle of the Atlantic was not won by any Navy or Air Force. It was won by the courage and the fortitude of the British and Allied merchant navy. This was not the first time. In 1917, World War I, the British cabinet were informed that at current levels, Britain had enough supplies to last to the end of the year, after which point the war would quickly be lost. As they would 30 years later, the merchant navy stepped up to the plate and our fortunes reversed. Years after the Second World War had ended, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev was asked what, if anything, was the greatest contributing factor to the Red Army's survival during those terrible years. Just guess what he said. Spam. Spam, dried egg, powdered orange juice that came across the Atlantic, around the Arctic Circle, and into Murmansk. The glamour of the Battle of Britain has for generations captured the public's imagination, and rightly so. The sacrifice and heroism against the odds is a matter of record. Similarly, stories of tanks roaring across the desert at El Alamein stirs the soul, and with good reason. Yet for years I've canvassed major media outlets in vain on behalf of what was the longest and no doubt least glamorous campaign of the war, that of the sea. Each of my attempts fell flat. It was at that low point my grandson James remarked, "There's always YouTube." And this casual comment stopped me in my tracks. YouTube is not a last resort. YouTube should have been my first port of call. It is more than appropriate that I should turn to you on your various screens and smart, slim devices, because for all my struggles with the mainstream media, it was only ever you I wanted to get through to. You, the young generation. This is possibly the first time you've ever heard of the Battle of the Atlantic. In truth, it's only ever been up to people like you to carry the lessons from the past forward into a new age. I was in that battle for a period, escorting Arctic convoys. But don't worry, I'm not going to bang on about my legacy or claim you owe me something. I live in freedom and I love it. That's reward enough for my efforts. But if this video motivates even some of you to tap the Battle of the Atlantic into Google, just to embrace for a second the enormity of what it was and what it achieved, just to get a glimpse at how different things would have been without it, then I can get back to tidying up the house before my grandchildren arrive, safe in the knowledge that I have executed my duty in honor of the men I served with and who died there. Thank you so very, very much. Have a beautiful day. It's a wonderful world. Cheers.